Something shifted in Cleveland this week. Something bigger than a simple game plan tweak or a routine press conference answer. Because for the first time since Shedeur Sanders stepped into the NFL spotlight, head coach Kevin Stefanski finally said the words fans have been waiting to hear. He's ready to let Shedeur rip it. No hesitation, no guarded phrases, no vague coach speak. Just a clear signal that the training wheels might be coming off. But here's what makes it interesting. Stefanski doesn't just hand out that kind of trust. Not publicly, and definitely not casually. So why now? Why ahead of a matchup that already has the league buzzing because it pits Sanders against another rising star, Cam Ward? Why choose this moment, this game, to finally tell the world he wants his rookie quarterback to push the ball, attack downfield, and show everyone what he can really do? That's the part people are talking about. Because behind the scenes, reports claim the staff has been waiting for Sanders to stop second-guessing himself and start firing with confidence. Rumors suggest the front office wants a clearer look at what he can be, not what he's avoiding. And fans? They're wondering if this is the week Cleveland finally stops playing safe and starts unleashing the offense they've been teasing since the draft. Stefanski's comments didn't just raise expectations, they raised suspicion. Was this a message to Sanders? To critics? To the Titans? Or to people inside his own building who think the offense should open up faster? Whatever the reason, one thing is clear. Cleveland isn't walking into this matchup quietly. And if Stefanski truly means what he said, this game might be the moment Shedeur Sanders stops being the rookie with potential and starts becoming the quarterback the Browns build their future around. And the first signs of that shift appeared long before kickoff. Kevin Stefanski isn't known for bold headlines or dramatic promises. He's a measured speaker, a coach who usually keeps everything behind closed doors and gives the media nothing more than, "We'll see," or "We'll evaluate." So when he stepped up to the podium this week and openly said he has no concerns about Shedeur letting it rip, it felt like a seismic shift in Cleveland. For a coach who has spent years preaching caution, discipline, and controlled offense, hearing him suddenly green-light his rookie quarterback to go aggressive caught everyone off guard. The reaction was instant. Analysts replayed the clip over and over, trying to determine whether Stefanski was simply answering a question or sending a message. Fans on social media went wild, calling it the first real sign that the Browns might finally stop handcuffing their offense. And former players chimed in too, noting that Stefanski doesn't usually hype quarterbacks unless he means it. But the real intrigue came from what people believed Stefanski didn't say, because buried beneath the calm delivery was a subtle tone, almost like he was pushing back on criticism that Sanders held on to the ball too long last week or passed up open shots. It's been said online that the coaching staff wanted Sanders to trust his instincts more, especially after reviewing film where he hesitated on throws he normally nails. Stefanski's public confidence sounded like he was drawing a line. The kid is ready, the kid is capable, and the kid needs to go prove it. And that's where the story deepens. Some fans believe Stefanski's statement wasn't just about Sanders. It was directed toward the entire offense. Cleveland has been stuck in that awkward middle ground between rebuilding and competing, and opening the playbook might finally force an identity shift. Others speculate that the Titans matchup featuring another highly hyped young quarterback in Cam Ward pushed Stefanski into making a stronger declaration than usual. When you're facing a rising star on the other sideline, sometimes you don't win by being conservative. Whatever the true motive, the message was unmistakable. Cleveland isn't walking into this game to survive. They're walking in to attack. And that unexpected intensity from Stefanski set the stage for a matchup that suddenly felt far bigger than a simple weak matchup. Because now, for the first time, the Browns are telling Shedeur Sanders to take control. And the quarterback staring back at him across the field makes that challenge even more compelling. As soon as the schedule dropped, fans circled this matchup, not because of the teams, but because of the quarterbacks. Shedeur Sanders on one sideline, Cam Ward on the other. Two young passers drafted into the league with very different narratives, but now forced into the same spotlight. And for Shedeur, this isn't just another game. It's a chance to directly answer one question of the loudest questions of the offseason. Should he have been taken before Cam Ward? That storyline alone has the entire NFL world paying attention. Cam Ward has been praised for his creativity outside the pocket and his ability to extend plays when everything breaks down. Shedeur, meanwhile, has been recognized for his accuracy, timing, and ability to read the field like a veteran. Both have shown flashes, both have made mistakes, and both are hunting for that signature moment that proves they're more than just potential, they're the future. But Ward enters this matchup with something Sanders doesn't have yet, a nationally televised moment where he stole the show. He's had his breakout highlight, his I'm Here performance. And that's exactly why this game means so much for Shedeur. If he outplays Ward on the same field, it doesn't just elevate his standing. It rewrites the draft debate entirely. Rumors online even suggest that some scouts inside the league have been waiting for this exact scenario to judge the two quarterbacks side by side. Reports claim this is the game evaluators expect to reference at the end of the season when comparing their trajectories. Fair or not, matchups like this can tilt opinions quickly. And Stefanski's confidence in letting Shedeur rip it only raises the stakes. Fans want to see the aggressive version of Sanders, the one who attacks defenses instead of easing into games. This matchup demands it, because Ward isn't going to play timid. He never does. And if Sanders comes out sharp, pushes the ball early, and takes control of the offense the way Stefanski hinted, he can seize the narrative in a single afternoon. This isn't just Sanders versus Ward. It's a battle for perception, momentum, and long-term reputation. And behind all the hype, one overlooked detail is becoming impossible to ignore. Stefanski's sudden shift in tone didn't happen by accident. Something inside Cleveland changed, and the next section reveals what sparked it. Kevin Stefanski isn't the type of coach who flips his approach on a random Wednesday. He's consistent, controlled, and famously careful with his words. So when he suddenly shifted from cautious messaging to openly backing Shedeur Sanders with phrases like, "I have no concerns about him letting it rip," it sent a ripple through Cleveland. Because that wasn't just support, that was a declaration. And declarations from Stefanski usually mean something changed behind the scenes. What triggered that shift? Some insiders believe Stefanski's tone reflects a growing urgency within the organization. It's been said that the Browns want to see Sanders push the ball more aggressively, especially after studying film from last week. Reports claim there were moments where Sanders saw the right reads but didn't pull the trigger, moments Stefanski wants erased immediately. By going public with his confidence, he may be trying to remove hesitation from the equation altogether. Others think the real shift came from practice. Rumors suggest Sanders looks sharper, faster, and more decisive in recent sessions, hitting throws that left the coaching staff buzzing. If that's true, Stefanski might be signaling that the rookie didn't just improve, he turned a corner. There's also a more strategic angle floating around. Some analysts believe Stefanski's comments were meant to send a message, not just to Sanders, but to the entire offense. With multiple injuries on defense, Cleveland may need to score more than usual to stay competitive. Opening up the offense might not be optional anymore. It might be necessary. And then there's the speculation no one wants to ignore: the internal pressure factor. It's been said that certain voices in the front office want to see the full version of Sanders, not the cautious version, so they can evaluate him properly before next season's roster decisions. Stefanski's tone shift might be his way of aligning with that expectation. Whatever the true reason, one thing is clear: Stefanski didn't speak like a coach protecting a rookie. He spoke like a coach challenging him. And when a head coach makes that kind of shift publicly, it changes everything, from the game plan to the energy in the locker room. But this internal pivot is only part of the story, because behind Stefanski's confidence is a deeper debate playing out inside Cleveland, one that directly affects how Sanders is being developed. Behind the calm press conferences and measured quotes, there's a growing belief that the Browns are quietly wrestling with a deeper question. How fast should Shedeur Sanders be developed? And depending on who you ask, the organization doesn't seem fully aligned. On the surface, everything looks unified. Stefanski praises Sanders, teammates support him, the staff talks about progress. But when you look closer, the decisions on the field reveal a very different picture. Some analysts believe there's a philosophical divide brewing behind closed doors. One side reportedly wants Sanders pushed harder, more downfield throws, more responsibility, more chances to accelerate his learning curve. They see him as the type of quarterback who thrives when the game is put in his hands, not when the training wheels stay on. The other side, they appear to prefer a slower, more controlled path, worried that too much too soon could derail his confidence. Rumors online have added fuel to this theory. A few insiders have hinted that not everyone loved the conservative game plans of the past few weeks. It's been said that certain offensive coaches wanted to open things up earlier, but were overruled in favor of safer calls. Whether those reports are accurate or not, the conversation has created a sense that Sanders' development might be caught between competing philosophies, rather than a unified plan. It's Stefanski's sudden let-him-rip comment only intensified this speculation. Was he signaling a pivot? Was he responding to internal pressure? Or was this his way of publicly backing the more aggressive approach some people inside the building have been pushing for? Players feel the tension too. Quarterbacks sense when a staff is tiptoeing around them. And Sanders has shown flashes that suggest he's ready for more than the offense has allowed. When a young quarterback is holding the ball, sometimes it's hesitation, but sometimes it's the byproduct of being coached to prioritize safety over instinct. And that's where this internal debate becomes so important, because a quarterback's development isn't just shaped by talent, it's shaped by trust. How much the team gives him, how much they ask from him, how much they believe in him when the moment demands something bold. Stefanski's comments hinted that the leash might finally be loosening. But the next question is whether the rest of the team is ready for what comes with that. And the answer becomes even more complicated once you consider how injuries and roster issues are stacking pressure on Sanders heading into this matchup. While all the attention is locked on Shedeur Sanders and the promise of a more aggressive offense, there's a subplot unfolding that could shape this matchup just as much as Stefan's comments. The injuries piling up across the Browns roster. Multiple defensive linemen are listed as questionable. Depth players are being shuffled into starting roles, and the coaching staff is openly acknowledging that they're stretched thin heading into the Titans game. And that matters far more than people realize. When a defense is banged up, the offense doesn't just get more responsibility, it gets more pressure. Suddenly, the quarterback isn't just playing to build confidence or gain experience. He's playing to keep the team afloat. He's playing to compensate for the pieces missing on the other side of the ball. And for a rookie, that shift can feel massive. Some fans have already connected the dots. With the defense weakened, this could be the first game where the Browns need Sanders to score, not just manage. They can't lean on a low-scoring slugfest. They can't rely on field position and slow drives. They may need explosive plays, fast strikes, long completions, and moments where Sanders simply takes over, because the defense might not have the luxury of bailing the team out. And that's where the depth concerns become part of Sanders' story. Stefanski mentioned KT stepping in at right tackle and praised several backups who have been working behind the scenes. But even with those adjustments, there's a sense that the Browns are one step away from running out of margin. Reports claim that coaches have been preparing for a high-tempo scenario if the defense struggles early, meaning Sanders will be asked to push the pace more than usual. There's also a psychological layer to all this. When the defense is wounded, quarterbacks feel it. They know every stalled drive puts more stress on a unit already fighting to hold on. That awareness often changes how aggressively young passers play, sometimes elevating them, sometimes overwhelming them. Sanders is stepping into that exact scenario. Injuries may force Cleveland into a game where the only way out is through the arm they've been hesitant to fully unleash. And if Stefanski's comments truly signal a shift, and Sanders isn't just being trusted, he's being relied on. But the real turning point lies in how Sanders responds to that pressure, especially after what Stefanski revealed about his mindset earlier in the week. All week long, the conversation around Shedeur Sanders hasn't just been about his arm talent or his mechanics. It's been about his mindset. Coaches, analysts, and even fans have been trying to answer the same question. Why didn't he let it fly last Sunday? The reads were there. The windows were open. Yet moments that should have turned into explosive plays were replaced with hesitation. And that hesitation became the focal point of every breakdown clip posted online. But here's where things get interesting. Reports claim that inside the building, Sanders has been far more decisive in practice than what he showed on game day. Teammates have supposedly seen him hit tight window throws, drop deep shots in stride, and run the offense with the kind of confidence you expect from a veteran. So naturally, people began wondering if the issue wasn't ability, but experience. Because no matter how fast practice feels, nothing matches the chaos of real game speed. Stefanski even hinted at this, saying young quarterbacks need time to adjust to seeing looks for the first time at full NFL tempo. Still, there's another layer to the story that fans keep buzzing about. Some believed Sanders' hesitation came from playing within a conservative scheme. When a quarterback enters a game, knowing the staff wants safe decisions, the natural instinct is to avoid risk. That mindset can lead to double-checking reads instead of trusting your arm. And if that's true, then Stefanski's public statement, no concerns about him letting it rip, might have been less about correcting Sanders and more about freeing him. Because this week's matchup isn't one where Cleveland can afford to play small. Sanders is stepping into a game that could define his narrative for the rest of the season. The Titans' defense isn't shy, and Cam Ward isn't going to sit back and wait. If Sanders wants that breakout moment, the one that shuts down the draft debates and silences critics, this is the stage. And the truth is, every quarterback reaches a point where the coaching guidance fades and instinct takes over. Sanders is standing right at that crossroads. One version of this game shows him still adjusting, still learning. The other version shows him exploding into the quarterback fans believe he can be. Stefanski seems convinced that Sanders is ready for the latter. But whether the rookie fully steps into that moment is up to him. And the pressure only intensifies when you consider how much Cleveland is quietly shifting its identity around him. Some changes in football are loud. Big trades, public statements, explosive sideline moments. But other changes happen quietly, almost unnoticed, until suddenly the entire identity of a team looks different. And that's exactly what many fans believe is happening in Cleveland right now. While the headlines focus on injuries, matchups, and weekly game plans, a subtle shift has started to take shape. The Browns are slowly transforming into a team built around Shedeur Sanders. It didn't happen overnight. Early in the season, the offense looked hesitant, cautious, even predictable at times. Coaches leaned heavily on safe plays while Sanders adjusted to NFL speed. But recently, something feels different. The messaging is changing. Stefanski's tone is changing. And most importantly, the expectations are changing. The Browns are beginning to act less like a team protecting a rookie and more like a team preparing to hand him the keys. Rumors around the league suggest this shift isn't accidental. Some insiders believe Cleveland's front office wants the offense to evolve now rather than later, especially with key defensive players dealing with injuries. If your defense can't dominate like usual, your quarterback has to. And that reality may be pushing Cleveland toward a more aggressive, high-output offensive identity, one centered entirely around Sanders' arm talent. Fans have picked up on it too. They've noticed the increased tempo in practice. They've noticed receivers running deeper routes. They've noticed the coaching staff placing more responsibility on Sanders at the line of scrimmage. Even minor adjustments, like how often he's encouraged to take shots during early drives, signal a franchise slowly reshaping itself. And the upcoming matchup against Tennessee feels like the first real test of this new direction. If Sanders is truly allowed to let it rip, as Stefanski promised, this could be the game where the league sees the Browns' long-term plan come into focus. Not a defensive-first team, not a conservative clock management offense, but a team finally leaning into its young quarterback's strengths and building the future around him. Of course, shifting an identity isn't simple. It comes with scrutiny, mistakes, and growing pains. But it also comes with opportunity. The chance to become something different, something dangerous, something better. And now all eyes are on Cleveland to see if they're ready to fully commit to this transformation. Because if they are, the next phase of the Browns' evolution begins right now. And Sanders is the one steering it. As Cleveland prepares for a game that suddenly feels bigger than anything this season has offered so far, one truth has become impossible to ignore. Shedeur Sanders is standing at the center of a crossroads the Browns can't avoid anymore. And the franchise's next move will reveal far more than any press conference quote or midweek practice report ever could. Stefanski's bold shift in tone didn't just change the atmosphere around this matchup, it exposed the real stakes. For weeks, the Browns have tried to balance patience with expectation, development with caution, and optimism with uncertainty. But you can only balance those things for so long before the entire organization has to decide where it truly stands. Is Shedeur Sanders the future they intend to build around, or the experiment they're afraid to fully commit to? That's the question hanging over every drive he takes, every throw he hesitates on, and every moment he flashes the talent everyone knows he has. And that's why Stefanski's "let him rip" statement carries so much weight. Because if the Browns are serious, if they genuinely believe Sanders is ready, then this is the moment to prove it. This is the moment to stop sheltering him and start empowering him. But if his leash tightens again, if the offense shrinks back into conservative patterns, or if hesitation creeps into the play calling, then it raises a far more troubling possibility. A possibility fans have whispered about for years, that Cleveland still hasn't learned how to develop a franchise quarterback, no matter how talented he is. And the Titans game sits right at the center of that dilemma. A strong performance from Sanders doesn't just help the Browns win, it rewrites the tone of the entire season. It validates Stefanski's confidence. It energizes the locker room. It signals to the league that Cleveland finally has a plan worth believing in. But a hesitant, controlled, restricted performance will only deepen the doubts that have been simmering beneath the surface. Because in the NFL, every great quarterback eventually reaches a defining moment. One where the organization either steps forward with him or steps back and watches the chance slip away. For Shedeur Sanders, that moment is now. For the Browns, the decision is simple. Trust the quarterback they drafted, or keep wondering what he might have become if they had. The question is no longer whether Shedeur is ready. The question is whether Cleveland is. And the entire league is watching to see how they answer.